Hi, I'm Frank Hermes, and this is Rocket Electronics. And this is the series of videos that will hopefully orient you to the features and use of the new RockeTiltometer. The checks, again, that were made when it first booted up is that it checks for a shorted output FET, so that if that were shorted and you were to connect a battery to your igniter, you'd get ignition. So we check that. If that should happen, you get a series of 4 tones, and the circuit will abort processing, give you that error indication, indicating to you that you've got a problem. You should shut everything down, shut down your deployment electronics, and then figure out where the problem is at that point. We also check for a missing or a bad data recorder card, and if the data card is bad or missing, you'll get a fatal error. And we also check to be sure that the ignition battery switch is not on. So we've checked for the shorted output FET, we've checked for the ignition battery to be sure it's not turned on. We check for a missing or bad card, and we also check to make sure that something hasn't happened to your wiring or your other electronics, and that you have a trigger signal present on that terminal. So when the system first initializes, it makes those checks, and if it finds a problem with any of those instances, then it will send you the error code and then abort processing anything further. So it won't allow you to proceed. And you won't get to the point where you hear these 3 beeps going on right now, indicating that you're ready to start the ignition arming. This process also that it doesn't sense an application on the external trigger, so if something should happen, that would send you another series of tones and then abort going. If there's a premature launch condition detected, normally launch is based upon the acceleration of the rocket, and it will, the accelerometers are used on the RockeTiltometer to do that detection. In the event something happened and it shows that it has a launch condition, again, it would shut down and not allow you to continue. And then also it checks for continuity on the igniter to be sure that it sees your igniter out there. So there's several checks that are ongoing that in the event something happens that shouldn't happen or shouldn't be there, or something that might cause you a safety issue, the system will detect that and shut down. And so the 3 beeps that you're hearing now will continue, and then the next would be to go ahead and turn on the ignition battery switch to put the battery into the circuit. And when you do that, now you hear that you are just getting 2 beeps. So that turns the ignition battery on and actually places it in the circuit. Once you get that indication, then you can go ahead and go through other checks you might be doing, and then finally you can arm the system. Now you just hear 1 beep, which again is being repeated out at your remote indicator, should you be using one. And 1 beep's what you want to hear. If you've made it through all of the checks and everything's running safely, then you will just hear 1 beep or see an indication, or hear an indication on your remote indicator. So that means you're flight ready. You're ready to go.